Hello everyone, welcome back. This is going to be again BBA admissions for Nirma University, and we have one more student with us who is ready to share all the experience that is freshmost in her mind. Yes, it's going to be a girl who is going for BBA MBA combined interview experience for you. This was not a tricky one but a detailed one, so let's have one by one all the questions from her without wasting any further time. All of you keep it noted that all the questions will not be the part of your interview, but one question can. So let's start with her. Please welcome. Yes, all good. Please up यहाँ जाइए. Yeah. So please tell us, how was the overall experience of preparing for an interview? Was it the first time that you were facing it?
Yes, it was the first time I was facing an interview.
So how was the overall experience in one line? Can you describe that?
It was exciting, but also very nervous one because I was facing it the first time. So obviously it was a bit nervous.
Happens with the best of us. When we used to give our first interview, always we were blank about it. At least you people have at least good preparations before we face it. So tell us, what is the difference between the real interview and the preparation of it?
The real interview, when we prepared for the interview, we have to prepare a lot of questions. Like there are many questions that we have to prepare, but not all of the questions will come in your interview. Obviously, that I've prepared a lot of questions. I've prepared about the current affairs, the GK questions, and the basic questions also about like tell me about yourself and my journey, my academics, our background. That's all the question we need to prepare. But it's not कि ये आपके इंटरव्यू में आएगा in the final interview. There were only a few questions which were asked, so you have to know कि what is the most important question and have to just know it by your heart.
So that's a good one, that all the experience is quite big of the preparation, but the reality is quite narrow. And let's start with the first real question that she got faced in the real interview. By the way, before we start the question rounds, how many panelists were there? Right? And what time of day did you give your interview? And what was the setup that you set to give that online interview?
So it was an online interview. The two teachers were taking the interview, and I was like properly dressed in a formal uniform, coat, and all the formal uniform that we used to wear in the interview. I just wore that only, and it was online. So I was alone in the meeting room with the other two teachers who were taking the interview.
That's a good thing. Please be in your formals. Stay ready with a blank background at your back. If possible, some awards can be a good idea in the back. And the two panelists must be aware about the two types of questions that they will be asking. Let's see what happens next. So what was the first question that they put towards you?
The first question was, tell me something about yourself.
So this is the question which is making it or breaking it question. We spent almost 2 days on this question, right? Of 1 hour each session. How about you? You handle it nicely or you blundered out of it?
It was handled out very nicely. So the next question was about the academics. They asked me about my favorite subject and one another subject which I didn't like much, but yes, I have a good hand on that. So they asked me questions from those two subjects. Then the question was handed over to the another teacher.
So note down everyone, mostly two panelists decide each other. That first is going to ask about the extra questions like the co-curriculum, extra-curriculum, the personality ones, and the another will be asking the technical questions. But in her case, the first panelist itself has asked her about the favorite subject as well as the introduction. So it can be a mix of both. Don't worry about it. It can go anyway. What were the basic questions of the second panelist that you faced?
The basic question was related to the question which the first panelist asked me about, tell me something about yourself. The second teacher asked me the question from that only, that what I spoke that time. So the second one asked me about that only. No.
There can be cascading questions from the answers that you have already given, because both of them were listening there. So was there any point that they picked out of your introduction? Please tell us about it.
Yes, it was a point like I have been the head girl of my school, so I spoke about this in my first question of tell me something about yourself. The second teacher asked me about that only. Like, I've been the head girl, so my experience and will I take such responsibilities in the Nirma University also, and a situation based question based on this topic only.
Be ready with other than the class or other than the books wali life, because they will be definitely asking you questions about teamwork, leadership, and all that stuff, spontaneity and volunteering. Any other questions that you remember for the second panelist?
No, only these questions was asked, but I have prepared for one very important question, which I think you guys can face it. That why Nirma? So these questions are like which we have to think about it in the at the time when we are doing the practicing and preparing for the interview. But you have to remember this point that you don't have to mug up the answer like yes, he has asked me, so let's tell the mug up answer. You have to look very natural up when asking, otherwise, it will be a blunder.
So that's a nice point that the wise lady has come out with. That is why Nirma. So be ready with this question as well, and the heads of that institute are most important. Well, that's all over. Do you remember any GK questions, kind of capitals or CMs or heads of the state, kind of asked to you?
No, those questions were not asked because the first answer which I gave was very strong. So my whole interview depends on that only. The other questions were not asked from me, but yes, it can be asked from you. So whoever is preparing for the interview should definitely go through it and the current news also whenever your interview is going on.
So all said and done, now we are wrapping up this round. I hope that she gets a good college life and the campus life over there whenever she goes for the new college. All the best for the students who are preparing for these colleges. But the last question that I would be very interested to know is how nicely has this platform where you are taking preparation for the exams and interviews has really helped you? Can you at least rate it out of 10? How much rating can we do so that the next performance based interview can be also rated other than you?
I will rate it 10 out of 10 obviously because all the teachers have prepared me so well. Himanshu sir have helped me so much. We have spent there was not a lot of time to prepare, so we had only 2 days. So Himanshu sir helped me a lot in this, and I will rate it a 10 out of 10. Thank you.
That's all for from us. We will be back with more interview experiences for you. Till then, take care, bye bye, and keep ready. All the best.